This is former council member, the Honorable Stan Pickett, and we're just appreciative that he's running for mayor. God bless you.
I know Bill Porter was before me because I'm not quite as tall as Mr. Porter. Right? Is that right?
The board wants to let you have 3 minutes at the end, and we're going to sort out the questions, and they'll do some follow-ups. And we're going to lay these questions that the board has selected on you, please, sir.
Very good.
Who is your campaign treasurer, and why did you choose that person?
My campaign treasurer is David Belt. David Belt is married to my cousin, Debbie White, and quite honestly, he's a man above reproach. He's a man that's a big, solid Church of Christ gentleman. His family is very involved in the Mesquite Church of Christ. I couldn't think of a finer person that would honor me as being my campaign chief.
Do you enjoy the council sessions being held at night, and will you continue to support the current time frame?
Yes, I do support the council's meeting at night. I think it's a great opportunity. For a number of years, and I served for a number of those years, we met during the daytime, and there was always a call for evening meetings. Then the evening meetings provide for those that work in the city, as I do, and most of you do, an opportunity to come and be involved with what goes on in the city, and I see no need to change that.
Do you believe that the President of the United States should be the only political office that should have a term limit? How would you see local term limits if you see local term limits?
That's a three-part question. And I'm not really involved in the national political scene, so the first part question being, is the president the only office that should have term limits?
It was kind of a statement I think they
Okay.
came up with there. We're
Okay, thank you.
not asking you to wade in on the president, but we appreciate you trying.
Now, you ask him, I'll try to fill in the blanks.
God bless you.
You know, I talked about term limits at a meeting similar to this a few weeks ago, and it has not come up as far as the 10 years that I served on council. And I'll answer the same way I answered then. There's a lot of pros and cons, and I really believe that. Obviously, being able to serve for a number of years, I will tell you, it took me until my second term to get comfortable in learning the process. There's a lot of people that jump right in, and there's nothing wrong with that. I sat back, especially the first year, 18 months I was on council, tried to get to know my fellow council members, tried to get to know things that were going on in the city, what needed to be addressed, and things like that. And it was really my second term that I really got the chance to get involved. And quite frankly, by the third and fourth term, I was then serving for the Dallas Regional Mobility Commission. I served at COG and several things on the regional level, and it's hard to get to do those things and be effective in the first few terms. That being said, we've always said as elected officials that we have term limits. It's called every 2 years, is what we're doing here. I'm not opposed to having term limits. I will tell you that our other communities around the city, around Mesquite, that I'm not going to call names, but you'll know what I mean. A lot of times you have people that are trying to get in, get things done, and get out. And sometimes I just think it takes time to get in and learn.
We were reading the questions that the board had provided. We were talking to Mr. Porter about some of the city ratings and rankings. You can agree with them. You cannot agree with them. One of the more recent 2014 D magazine uses housing, several other factors, median price of housing to determine the quality of a residential suburb. Mesquite, as of 2014, in that particular rating, number 50 out of 63 suburbs and the best suburb rating. What would you do to improve the existing housing in Mesquite and drive up property values? And I'm just reading what the board really wanted answered here and the way they worded it.
I understand. You don't have to explain the question, Art, I'm okay. You know, it's a long answer, and I'll try to be brief as I can. Mesquite has always been a great place for people to move to that have families. Affordable housing is what has built Mesquite, Texas. We have a tremendous amount of affordable housing, and we have a lot of great families that live in Mesquite, that raise their children in Mesquite, that want to be here, that love the quality of life, that they love the school system. They come here and all for the schools, the safety, things along those lines. Throughout the years, one of the things we haven't been able to do effectively in a large scale is to become or to create more neighborhoods with what we call move-up housing, aspirational housing. One of the things that I've talked about in my campaign is simply the fact that a lot of our young adults will marry and they will settle in Mesquite, but as they start to begin their families and careers and things move up and they're able to maybe make a little more income and they start looking around for housing stock in neighborhoods that have trails that we've discussed, the council discussed even last night, trails and amenities and parks and things that you see in other parts of our community, North Texas area. We don't have a lot of that. And in order to really raise the housing stock, we've got to continue to push for those type of neighborhoods and hope that developers will come out and do that. There is a challenge in Mesquite, Texas, to get a higher-end builder to come in and commit to more than just a few houses. And I think we've got to be aggressive. We've got to go out to some of those builders. We've got to sell Mesquite, and that's really what it boils down to. We've got to sell them on our quality of life. We've got to sell them on our safety, our police, our fire, all the things that make Mesquite great. And I think that as a community, we can help raise these neighborhoods up.
I'm getting some hand signals. This may be the last question, but we'll see what the board says here. And Mr. Porter had some fun with this encroachment that the board, and I appreciate that. Humor is always appreciated in a political meeting. From the board, what have you done or what will you do to limit government encroachment on the citizens of Mesquite to your ability? And Brad even gave a little clarification to that.
Which one are we doing? I'm still writing notes.
Okay, encroachment, government encroachment on the citizens.
We're seeing a lot of problems where the cities are telling people to take down flagpoles, veterans and stuff like that. They're telling them you can have this fence but not that fence, you can do this, you can do that. There's a lot of problems. We're picking the ticky-tacky stuff and we're not telling the guy to mow his lawn, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for that. You know, when you said something about Mr. Porter, I'm afraid if Mr. Porter's been telling you guys stories, I probably should have come out here next.
We enjoyed them.
I'm sure you did. We've got to do a better job with code enforcement. We've got to do a better job. Our code enforcement people in Mesquite are stretched very, very thin. It's an interesting conundrum in the sense that when they go out to a neighborhood to try to enforce code in some areas, they may skip right past the things that you're referring to in terms of other streets or other places that maybe they should have marked, but they didn't. When I was serving on council for 10 years, that came up a lot. It came up an awful lot. And what I tried to say when I answered a lot of times was, I understand it's frustrating. We want our neighborhoods to be better. It kind of dives back into the previous question. How do you raise the housing stock in your neighborhood? You get people to paint. You get people to take care of things. The ticky-tacky stuff, those need to be addressed. I mean, I'll stand right up here and tell you, why should we have to take a flag down? Well, we have ordinances, and our code enforcement aren't supposed to follow those ordinances. If there's a problem with those ordinances, we need to know about them. Nighttime meetings, we need to hear about them. We need you to come up and say, look, veteran, flag, whatever, the ordinance needs to be reevaluated. But the ordinances are on the books, I have to admit, they should follow the ordinances that are on the books. I can't sit here and tell you to tell code don't follow our ordinances. But anytime we need to make changes to them, you guys are the ones. You know, council members and mayors included can think about these things. But there's 140,000 citizens, and there's 6 council members and 1 mayor. Without your help, we can't make those changes. So we need to hear from you. And we need to look at it all. We really do. We need to look at everything. There's a monumental task in front of us in the city of Mesquite, and that's what code is one of the things we've got to start with right away.
Follow-ups? I'm gonna give you number 6.
Last question. Is the Holy Bible relevant to the selection of political candidates?
Obviously, the answer is, for me, is yes, and that becomes a personal issue. One of the things that I'm very blessed and fortunate throughout the years is that I've served my church for a number of years, and I'll introduce my wife in a few minutes that also serves. I believe that, I'm just going to give you my straight out answer, because I'm not going to hide anything or say anything or try to do the political thing tonight especially, and hopefully never. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think this is where I'm supposed to be. Didn't expect that to happen. Anyway, our pledge says, "In God we trust," and I just hope that that continues to be what we believe.
I want to ask you a question. Why should we vote for you over the other candidate? And then I'd like you to address the $50 million bond issue and why the road problems and stuff were not addressed in our prior budgets, and why now we're being hit with that. What's going to make a difference now if we vote that money for y'all, that y'all are going to put it in the right place this time?
Very good question. I like the first one. Why should you vote for a change? Why should you see something different in leadership of Mesquite? I was asked to run. I did not wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I think I want to be mayor." That's not the way I live. That's not the way I work. And I was approached by a number of different business people in Mesquite, and a lot of these questions and things are the reason people ask me, what can we do? How can we make these changes? How can we be more positive? We don't feel like the leadership right now is taking us where we need to go. There's a difference in philosophies of what I feel like that Mesquite needs to be, that the leadership in Mesquite needs to be. In my opinion, we've had a lot of top-down leadership, excuse me, for the last 7 years. It's been very difficult, and a lot of times you don't understand and know this, but it's been very difficult from the council level to bring topics and things up to the mayor's office. I think that needs to change. I know that my time with prior mayors and going back for years and years, the council needs to be not a governing board. The mayor doesn't have to be a governing person. It needs to be the place that we set agendas. It needs to be where we hear from the people. It needs to be a place where the ideas and the changes bubble up. And there's a lot of good leadership. Our council has a lot of good leaders and a lot of good ideas. Over the last 7 years, a lot of those ideas have not been able to be brought forth. A lot of things that our citizens have not been able to hear. And I believe that I can get back to that where we need to be, and that's coming from the bottom up. Talking about the bond issue, sorry about that. That's an interesting question. I knew that would come up, and I've been trying to think what's really the best answer for that. We have, before the city council, there are anywhere from $10 million to $100 million in bonds being proposed. Along with that is mentioned but never talked about. In order to do that, it's built-in tax increases. And I don't know if people understand that, but I'm saying that tonight and probably the next couple of weeks. It's got built-in tax increases. And that's one thing that nobody in an elected office wants to say. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I am saying it gets back to this thing about telling people and being upfront and being open and being transparent that we need this money. We need to fix these roads. Along with that, we also need to tell our constituents, you can't do it without, at least the way it's currently proposed, without tax increases. So you have to know that going in. In terms of the conditions of the roads and why they're the way they are, it is a North Texas regional problem. I don't know how many of you still read the Dallas Morning News. I continue to read the paper every day, and there's been article after article after article of what they're dealing with, Garland's dealing with. You just name any city in North Texas, and you will see and hear that they've all got these road problems. Why they haven't been addressed in the past? There have been a number of programs, I don't know if that's the right terminology, there's been a number of times in the past where we've tried to put $3 million, $5 million, $10 million towards road improvements. I know even when I was on council, every time budget comes around, it always came up. I mentioned it last year. Last year I was on 2 years ago. Why can't we spend more money on roads? Because it was always a small amount. And there never was really an answer. It's a lot of, again, in my opinion, it's been a lot of top-down for the last 7 years. And we really weren't able to get a lot of things done that we should have been doing over the last 7 years. And I think that saying, how did we get in this condition? I think it was exasperated by the last 3 years of the drought. I think prior to that, we always had it. One of the things that doesn't come out that I wish we did more, and I hope to do more as mayor, is there are road projects that are planned 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out. They're on the books. They're there. They are planned. A lot of these major roads are planned to be replaced and to be fixed and repaired. But yet we really don't have it out there. There's not a place that you can go, you as a citizen or even myself can go look online and see what's the 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. And that would be helpful. That would be helpful to know that Town East is going to be repaired, that Motley's going to be repaired, that all these other things are going to be repaired, that that there are plans out there. The streets, I think we continue to work on that. I mean, they're a problem. Anybody running into a pothole on the way over here tonight? There's a few hands, and okay. They're there. I mean, we know they're there. And I got to
Cut you off.
cut me off.
Okay, I have
One follow-up. We have the same sales tax level as Garland, Duncanville, Dallas, Lancaster, Irving, Richardson, same tax level, 8.25. But we don't have Dart. There's an extra penny in there. And back in the 1980s, we raised our tax level to be the same as Dart, yet we don't have Dart. That's fine. The citizens voted against it. Would you be in favor of earmarking that extra penny that other people pay to Dart to fix our roads?
You do ask the hard questions, don't you? The real answer is how does it affect the budget? And that's an honest question. That's an honest answer and an honest question. How does it affect the budget? $26 million annually. Parks, police, fire, and roads. There are road repairs and roads part of that budget as well. That's a big. $26 million is a big number. And if you pull that out all at one time, what do you do with those services? You want to be safe. What do you do with the police part of the budget? If your house catches on fire, what do you do with the fire part of the budget? What do you do with those pieces of the budget if you pull that out? Earmarking part of those funds could work. There's also something on that particular issue that we have tried to do, and I did bring that up in the last budget cycle as well. There are limitations on 4B tax dollars. There's only certain things that 4B tax dollars can be used for. There is a road portion of it. Economic development. Economic development is Town East, Coniston, anything going in and out of major shopping areas, Galloway. So those dollars are restricted. I will tell you that. They are restricted. But my thing is trying to determine, can we come up with a bigger piece of the budget each and every year so that we don't necessarily have to borrow $100 million from the bond issue, and we can, whether it's in growth in sales tax, growth in property tax, whatever, that we just kind of start applying more and more of those dollars to fix our streets and then try to leverage some of that monies that we have now to help repair the roads and fix the roads.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, 2 minutes. What do you say in 2 minutes? Most of you in this room I know, not all of you, but most of you I know. The quick bio, longtime resident, grew up here, high school, college. I have to say my lovely wife asked to come with me tonight, Mary Jo Pickett. She's here, a school teacher, music teacher, very blessed. Served 10 years on the council, was very fortunate to run for 4 terms unopposed. Felt like it was time to move on a couple of years ago. My mother was ill, took care of that. She's doing very well today. I was getting more and more frustrated not being able to get some of the things that we wanted to get changed done. It was getting a little frustration of not doing that and felt like I needed to step back. Being gone a year has made a tremendous difference, and it's opened my eyes. I met with some of you folks and we asked some hard questions. They said, what about this, what about that? And I said, you know what, I voted for that 6 years ago. I've been gone for a year. I wish I could change that. And I think if I could be mayor, we can go back and look at that, some of those things again. I just feel like that Mesquite, Texas has been home to me like it is to you. We are poised on this southeast side of Dallas for some really phenomenal things in the next few years. We need leadership that takes us, with the mayor and the council, to take us to the next level. We need the better housing. We need the roads to be repaired. We need all these things done. And I think it's going to take the citizens, I think it's going to take all of us working together to get us to that point. And I just hope that come May 9th or early voting time, when you go in to vote, that you vote for Stan Pickett.